Welcome to Big Boof Bets. It's the Get That Money podcast. As always, I am Nate Stevenson, joined by Mr. Big Boofy Skirman and Mr. Tony T-Bone Guarino. It is week 10, gentlemen. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. The more important question is, how are you doing, Nate? For those of you that don't know, Nate is recording remotely from Disney World.
I am in the land of magic, and I'm really hoping that some of that magic spreads its way into my bank account this week. So we are staying dedicated to the cause, and we are coming to you live, at least part of Big Boof Bets from Disney World.
Well, that's awesome, man. I hope you can share some of that magic with all of us here as well.
Indeed.
Tone, how you doing today?
The NFL this season feels like a dating all over again. You know, it's like things are going great. Then all of a sudden you start getting mixed signals and you kind of start to feel like that maybe you're the side piece. That's pretty much how I feel with a lot of the teams in the NFL this year. But besides that, it wasn't a horrible week, just one of those mixed signal weeks. So with that, I guess let's take a look at those locks from last week and see how mixed up those signals are.
Yeah, we can do that. Last week, we had 8 locks for you. They went 4-4. Now, when you're as good as we are at this, that'll actually bring your percentage down. But we are 38-28-1 on the season with a 57.58% success rate. Our losers last week were the Bears +6, which I know Nate is really kicking himself about because I talked him into that one. And the Bears, they tried to backdoor it for us, but they couldn't get it done. They came up 1 point short.
I had 2 regrets on that. One, I was iffy on it to begin with, but then, it was one of those logic and number plays for us. And then secondly, we should have just conditionally locked it at 7. That's something that was a number we've liked a lot better. And if we did, we would at least push and not lost. So double bad on me for that one.
Yeah, well, lesson learned for both of us there. Then we had the Texans -7. They did not get it done against the Jaguars. They were able to win. I believe they won by 2, with Jacksonville missing a 2-point conversion that actually would have tied the game at that point.
That was another BS. That was another BS backdoor one, though. I mean, I know, it's you either win or you lose, but Texans had the ball late with just get a first down and the game is over. Okay, they don't get a first down. And then on top of that, they let Jacksonville drive down the field at the end of the game and almost tie the game. So that was definitely one that, in my opinion, should have been a winner. And I'm a little salty about.
Yeah, hear you on that one too, man. Then we had the Cardinals -4. Tua Tagovailoa just looked awesome. And the Dolphins are instantly upgraded in my eyes. And if I knew Tua was going to play like that, I would not have taken that pick. So our bad. But moving forward, we definitely learned a little something about the Dolphins, in my opinion.
Yeah, they took the training wheels off of Tua, man. He looked good.
Yeah. Then we had the Patriots -7. Definite downgrade on the Patriots. If you can't cover a touchdown against the Jets, you stink.
Yeah, I think it's officially dead in New England. Officially dead.
All right, our winners were Packers -5.5, Ravens -2.5, Seahawks and Bills over 54, Chargers and Raiders over 53. The Ravens were the only one that really wasn't completely on cruise control, but they were once we got to the second half, so they didn't really have to sweat any of those out. In addition to all of that, as of 2 weeks ago, we started sharing props that we like. Now, we typically record on Tuesdays, so sadly we cannot include them in the podcast. But on Sundays, about 2 hours before kickoff or earlier, we are sharing our favorite prop bets for the week. And we started doing that 2 weeks ago for you guys. So for those of you that have been following us on Facebook and Twitter at Big Boof Bets, congratulations, because you would have gone 14-6 with a 70% success rate and made yourself some money. For everybody else, get on the train. Follow us on social media And be sure to check it out Sundays about 2 hours before kickoff. That's our goal every week to make sure those are up for you by then.
Well, definitely no mixed signals there. Just a good, healthy relationship, bringing in many units. So with that, let's get on to our Week 10 action. And we will kick things off with a Thursday night game between the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. Titans laying 1.5, and you're over-under at 48.5.
All right, so Colts came back down to earth last week, as expected, against a quality opponent. Phillip Rivers didn't look good. Phillip Rivers got pressured. Phillip Rivers threw a pick. The Colts offense also had a fumble, which proved very costly because Ravens D scooped and scored that thing. So in summary, I saw a lot of what I thought I was going to see in that Ravens-Colts game. I think the Colts are stepping down a little bit in competition this week against the Titans, but Titans are still a pretty solid team. I think just a slight notch above the Colts. So I think there's, the spread, in my opinion, about right. I would lean laying the points with the Titans. But honestly, just with the ineptitude of Phillip Rivers and that Colts offense against upper tier competition, I don't expect them to score a lot of points. Conversely, the Colts do have a good run defense, and that is the bread and butter of the Titans offense, is pounding that rock with Derrick Henry and then hitting play action. So I expect Darius Leonard to have a big say in how well Derrick Henry performs. So again, I think that leads to less points scored by the Titans. So all that summed up together, my favorite bet in this game is the under. It was at 49. If you can find it anywhere at 49, I definitely recommend taking it. Alas, even at 48.5, I still like it. And that is my favorite bet in this game, is the under 48.5.
Okay, as far as the spread goes, I would take Tennessee minus 1.5, but I don't love it. The total, I see the game differently than you do, Nate. Tennessee's defense is not good. Beyond that, in the eight games Tennessee has played, 6 of them have gone over that number, and this involves a lot of teams that are not spectacular here. So I could definitely see Phillip Rivers playing better than what you're calling for. I would take over 48.5. How do you feel about Pizza Box on that one?
I love my chances in pizza boxes. Let's do it, baby.
All right, we don't got a lock for you on Thursday, but we got a pizza box. So a little bit of action. I like it.
Started off with the pizza box, baby.
All right, well, let's move on over into Sunday, where we will start things off with the Washington football team at the Detroit Lions. The Lions laying 4, and you're over-under at 46.5.
It's just so easy for me to always start off with some play on words with WFT, WTF, because it's just always funny. I always want to do that, but I'm not going to do that, even though I just kind of did that, but I'm not going to do it. So we're going to go with the Washington football team plus 4 points. And largely that has to do with the fact that I've just finally decided that the Lions I had some hope for them this year, but they're just not going to be, they're not going to take the next step under Patricia. It's time for them to move in a new direction. Mr. Patricia has moved on to my he needs to be fired list. So he can get the heck out of town. And on top of that, they don't got Galladay. That's a big part of their offense. And I believe Stafford is in concussion protocol as well. So that doesn't bode well for him if he does play going against that stout front four of the Washington football team defense. So give me the Washington football team plus 4.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, Washington is hardly outstanding or anything, but the Lions aren't that good either. I don't know. I would take Washington plus 4. I mean, Alex Smith threw for over 300 yards last week, but he did have 2 interceptions, each on the last 2 drives of the game where they had an opportunity to go down and beat the Giants. He did not come through. I am going to pass the game, but I would take Washington if you made me.
Actually, you know what? Quick side note on that. I know one of the props that we have been profitable on is some passing ones with Antonio Gibson, running back for the Washington football team. Last week, his receiving yards were at 17.5, and he easily went over that. He's normally at least in the mid-20s. So if that thing's around, the high teens, low 20s, I'd take the over on that again. That's been very profitable. Also, he's normally good for at least 3 or 4 receptions a game. Last week, that prop was at 2.5 receptions. Obviously, the over hit on that as well. So if it's a 2.5, again, definitely hammer the over. If it's a 3.5, I still don't hate it either because, again, he normally gets at least 4. On a low game, he's at 3. So I like those 2 if you can get them again this week.
Up next, we have the Houston Texans at the Cleveland Browns. The Browns laying 3 and the over-under at 52.5.
Yeah, I don't know where I want to go with this. You have Baker Mayfield coming back from from having COVID. You have the Texans coming into town with the ability to score points, but also the ability to give up a lot. You have a weather situation that could be bad with a lot of wind, but could also not be that bad. Like, it's only Tuesday. A lot can change. A lot of ifs and buts and candy and nuts, and just too many ifs. I can't commit to anything on this game.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think Deshaun Watson can put together a big game for the Texans. But I just don't have enough faith in them to actually go ahead and bet it. Your point about the weather is worth monitoring. Specifically, the wind 2 weeks ago, it was over 40 miles an hour. Now, I did check the weather report. They're only calling for about 17, so I wouldn't let that affect your bet. But as the week goes on, if you see that they're calling for a real nasty day and they have not adjusted the over-under yet, I would hit the under that is currently at 52.5. So keep an eye out for that.
All right, well, moving on, we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Football Giants. The Eagles laying 3.5 and your over-under at 44.5.
So it's my understanding Eagles getting a little healthier this week with the return of Miles Sanders and Alshon Jeffrey, which certainly will, at least certainly should, help them on offense a little bit. But I think the Giants have shown some improvement here the last couple weeks. Last time they played Philly, it took a miraculous comeback in the last 5-6 minutes of the game. And, a little luck as well for them to pull the comeback against the Giants. And even still, they only won 22-21. They only won by 1 point. And honestly, they should have lost the game. So you're giving me 3.5 points with the Giants here, and they have been looking better. I like the 3.5 with the G-men. So that's where I'm going to roll.
Yeah, I don't hate your logic on that, and I would even say I kind of agree with it. I would like to see what Philadelphia looks like here with Alshon Jeffrey back in the lineup. I don't recall him playing in any games yet this year, so let's see what Philly's offense looks like with some of their playmakers back in it. I'm going to pass.
Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. The Bucs laying 4.5 and the over/under at 50.5.
Wow, what was that? What was that on Monday night with Tampa Bay? I
know, man, that blew me away.
I did not see that one coming, man. I didn't expect a blowout either way for one at all. Two, I expected Tampa Bay to win the game. New Orleans only won the first time by 10, in large part because the turnovers by Tampa Bay. And I was expecting them to have them cleaned up some. It's tough to beat a division opponent twice, especially when you're talking about good teams. So I was looking for Tampa Bay to get the win. I mean, that they just had a horrible, horrible game. So, yeah, I definitely like them to get back on track this week against a Carolina team who has definitely shown some fight, but has a lot of holes on defense. They give up a lot of points. You have McCaffrey banged up, may not play with a shoulder injury. Plus, Tampa Bay is one of those teams that has shown the ability historically to shut him down and keep him in check, which is very important when you're trying to hold down that Panther offense. So I definitely like Panthers coming out with their head on fire after what happened last week, try to get right and get an early lead here on the Panthers. So the public has definitely been having some recency bias. The line opened at +6 for Carolina. It's already been bet down to 4.5. I'm willing to wait this out. I think they're going to continue to bet what they just saw, which is Carolina go neck and neck with KC and Tampa Bay get crushed on national TV. So, Boof, I'm willing to wait this out to -3 if we can get there.
Okay, yeah, you kind of are slicing this the way I was thinking. So you mentioned the line opened at +6, and it was like that actually before the Monday game, and I was kind of rooting for it to go the other way. I was rooting for it to get to +7. Like I was hoping Tampa Bay was going to win the game, have the line get to +7, and then I was going to take Carolina. Tampa gets their butt kicked. It stayed at +6 for like 5 seconds, and it has been bet down to 4.5 here, like you said. I don't really like that number. But if it were to get all the way to -3, I do think Tampa Bay is going to rebound from last week. And I would be down to conditionally lock the Tampa Bay Bucks at -3. And that's going to be our first potential lock of the week.
Oh, yeah. Lock it in. Get that money. Conditionally.
All right, the final 1 o'clock game that we have is between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Green Bay Packers. The Packers laying 13.5 and the over-under at 51.5.
What's this Jake Louis Vuitton? Whatever the heck his name is, Jake Luton, whatever. Dude,
he looked all right though. He looked all right.
He looked all right. I'll tell you what, man. It was surprising to see. It's Gardner Minshew might be getting kicked to the side by another 6th-round draft pick. I'll tell you what. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. He looked pretty good. 13.5. Oof, that's a big number. It's a big number, man. And Jacksonville's a team that can score sometimes. Like it just, and now you have this question mark with this Luton guy that's, seemed to gave them a little spark offensively. Packers defense kind of shaky. They had some injuries. I'm not sure where exactly they're at with Jair Alexander. I know he left last game with an injury. He was the number 1 corner, so that's a big thing. They can be run on, and James Robinson has had a pretty good year running the ball for Jacksonville, which is definitely something that could really, really affect that game. So, man, 2 touchdowns to cover. I like Green Bay to win, but if you made me, I can't believe I'm saying this, I'd take the points with Jacksonville.
Yeah, the thing is when you get QBs like this, sometimes they start hot and it carries over for a few weeks, and sometimes they give you one great game and you'll never hear from them again. They'll stink and get benched, and that'll be that. Like you're the backup for Jacksonville for a reason.
Yeah, you just don't know.
I really don't know. I really don't know what we're going to see. I was kind of impressed with Luton last week, but too much unknown in this one. I'm going to pass.
All right, well, we got some extra action this week for the late afternoon games, so we'll start things off in the 4 o'clock hour with the Buffalo Bills at the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals laying 2 and the over-under at 56.
Oh, boy, this is a big matchup here, Boof. We got my boys versus your boys.
You got that right.
This is a pizza box. If there's ever a pizza box in the making, this is a pizza box. Because, I'm clearly on Cardinals -2. They should have won. They should have beat the Dolphins last week. For some reason, Zane Gonzalez couldn't hit a 49-yard field goal in altitude that was straight on. Like it was short. I don't know, an NFL kicker that leaves a 49-yard field goal short in nice conditions in altitude. So I still think that game gets to overtime. I think the Cardinals win that. I think the Cardinals pull that one out. I mean, because they missed a couple plays in the second half in the first place. So I still think they should have won that game. The Bills, on the other hand, I mean, yeah, they looked good against Seattle last week, but I mean, geez, and if you're mildly competent on offense, you should look good against Seattle offensively. And Josh Allen, when he's on with his running ability, he looks really good. What I mean is like when he's on throwing the ball. If he can throw the ball accurately combined with his running ability, that offense clicks, man. And it did last week against the defense is not very good. So the defensive competition is going to go up a little bit this week in the form of the Cardinals. So you're talking under a field goal here. Give me the Cards, baby. Kyler Murray, get it done.
I'm going to circle the wagons here. I like the Bills +2. The one thing you failed to mention about last week's game against Seattle is how well the Bills did against Russell Wilson. So they were kind of the first team that really slowed him down. I expect them to do the same to Kyler Murray a little bit. Definitely not stop him. Kyler's the man. That's a high-powered offense. But I think they slow him down enough while still rolling on offense themselves. And I do expect the Bills to win outright. Give me the Bills +2. And you can put it on the pizza box, baby.
Oh, it's going to be great when the Bills circle the wagons. And then because Kyler Murray is so fast, he circles the circle wagons with all that speed and runs into the end zone for the touchdown. Pizza box, baby. Cards?
Pizza.
Up next, we have the Denver Broncos at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders laying 5.5. And you're over-under at 52.
All right, yeah, big divisional matchup here in the AFC West. We have the Raiders looking pretty solid still. Like them to win the game. Not a huge fan at over a field goal. I'd feel a lot better laying it if it was a field goal with the Raiders. I think the better bet in this game is actually the total. Raiders and Broncos have put up a lot of points this season, especially over the past month. They're honestly the Raiders all season. And we're talking 52 here. I mean, obviously, ideally, I'd like 51. That's one of my personal checkpoints. But 52, 28-24 still gets you a push. We like it to go over that. So, yeah, give me a lot of points scored here out in good old Las Vegas. And give me over 52. Love that bet.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, man. I'm going to share the same stat that I shared last week with the Raiders game. If we just ignore the 45-mile-an-hour wind game against Cleveland, all of the totals in the Raiders games this year have gone over the number of 52. So obviously we love that. Then we turn it over to the Broncos. And their last 3 games have all gone over the total of 52. And as a matter of fact, 4 out of their last 5 have gone over that same total. And let's be honest, if their offense can show up in the first half of any of these, I mean, this total might go over 80. So I love the over-under in this one, and it's another lock for us.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
All right, moving on, we have the Los Angeles Chargers at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins laying 2.5, and you're over-under at 48.5.
Big game between rookie quarterbacks here. Our boy Justin Herbert and Tua. Not even going to try to say his last name like you did, Boof. But
Tagovailoa.
Sure, we'll go with that. Big game between the two of the top rookie quarterbacks this season. Definitely looking forward to it. If you're making me pick a side, just with how the Dolphins have been looking as a team and how good Tua looked this past week, under a field goal, I'd lay that with the Dolphins. I definitely think that they have I don't think they have the better defense. I know they have the better defense. The Dolphins are a top 5 defense right now. And honestly, up until last week, they were number one in points against in the league, which is very, very important. And they have 2 very, very good corners that Mr. Herbert's going to have to go against. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to go. But having said that, Mr. Herbert, no matter who's on the other side of the ball, has shown the ability to get the job done anyway and go over his passing total every week, as Boofy has hammered that, as you should continue to do so. And they've scored points. They just keep scoring points. And last week against the Cards, I thought the Dolphins D was going to hold the Kyler down a little bit in a not low, but lower scoring point scoring game that the Cards would take care of business of. Neither of those two things happened. It was a shootout, and quite frankly, at 48, with what I've seen from both these teams recently and Herbert so far this year, that's a nice number to go over. That's not asking too much here. So over 48, I like that total a lot. Give me the over. Favorite bet of this game.
All right. First thing, like Nate said, keep an eye out for that Justin Herbert total. We have now cashed that ticket 5 weeks in a row. Anything 265 or lower, take the over. Okay. Beyond that, Nate, I'm getting Chargers +3 here on Fox Bet. Now, would you still like the Dolphins at that point?
I would still like the Dolphins at -2.5.
Okay, do you want to do like a +3 versus -2.5 pizza box?
You trying to try box the pizza box this week, Chief?
I am.
Oh, bro. Give me Tua and the Dolphins defense, baby. Let's go.
All right, I like it. We're definitely going to pizza box that. As far as the over goes, I'm right on board with you. I definitely see this game getting some points. The Chargers' last 5 games have all gone over that total. And then last week, Tua found his mojo a little bit, and they played in a game that went over 60. You throw all that together with 2 guys that got drafted this year, and, the national media has definitely made sure to compare their seasons so far and project what it's going to look like for the rest of the season. Guys like that, that competitive, that competitive stuff inside of you, that's going to be coming out. I expect both guys to have a very good game. And I think we can fly past the total of 48. That's really not a high number. I love over 48, and it's another lock for us.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
All right, moving to slightly later from the 4:05 to the 4:25, we'll kick that off with the Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers laying 6.5, and you're over/under at 45.5.
So big news today in the city of Pittsburgh. We have some COVID issues, unfortunately. Vance McDonald already put on the COVID list. Not a huge deal. Unfortunately, we have some others in Big Ben and Vince Williams. Obviously, 2 very important players. So right now, you may or may not see this line on the board. It started out at Cincinnati +10.5. which I would have jumped all over that. I still even liked it at 8.5. And then now the places it is up at, it is down to 6.5 for the Bengals. Obviously, the big reason being whether or not Big Ben is going to play. So that's a very big if. If Big Ben plays and that line bumps back up over 7, I would still take the points with the Bengals. I still think that Joe Burrow has shown a lot this year. They're only getting better. If they can protect him, combine that with the Steelers' penchant to just play down to their competition. You give me a team that can score, I'd take the points of the Bengals. I still think the Steelers will win as long as Big Ben plays. If Big Ben does not play and you can still get a touchdown with the Bengals, then I really, really love that because I do not trust Mason Rudolph at all. And I would also look into potentially an under as well because that offense will definitely suffer without Big Ben at quarterback. So a lot of ifs and buts and wait and sees with this game, but that's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, when this one came out and it was above 7, I was definitely entertaining Cincinnati. I'm in like a weekly pick'em thing, and I did take the Bengals with the points already. But I don't have enough confidence in it to actually bet it. Big Ben owns teams from Ohio. If he does play, it's enough to scare me off of that bet, so I am going to pass.
All right. Up next, we have the San Francisco 49ers at the New Orleans Saints. The Saints laying 9, and your over-under at 49.5.
I think the bottom finally fell out last week with the 49ers this season, all their injuries. Exactly what we predicted was going to happen happened. The Pack scrubbed them. You have the Saints getting healthy here, coming off a huge division win against the Buccaneers, and they're only getting healthier. So I do not like the 49ers' chances. Give me the Saints in a beatdown. I'll lay the 9 points.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think Kittle specifically, him being out and Garoppolo, that's the heart and soul of that offense. I did read that Mostert and Deebo Samuel are like sub 50% maybe to play. But the thing is, they have their bye week the following week. And typically when you see the schedule line up like that, teams will try to use the bye week on any guys that are kind of, almost back to ready to play as a way to really make sure they get them back. So I would anticipate those two also not playing. I'm very comfortable laying the 9 with the Saints, who looked awesome this week. And that's another lock for us.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
All right, the final late afternoon game on Sunday will be the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams. Rams laying 2, and your over-under at 55.5.
We have Mr. Russell Wilson getting points, coming off a loss. Those are two very, very big deals. A lot of data that says you do not want to be going against Russell Wilson in that situation. That's not really, I don't really have a complex breakdown for it this week. I trust Russ. I trust that data. And I don't see the Seahawks losing 2 in a row. So give me Russ and the Seahawks, baby, +2.
Yeah, these are two divisional opponents here. They are familiar with each other. I'm with you. I don't think Russ is going to be held down 2 games in a row. I think he finds a way to pull this one off. I like the Seahawks to win outright, and I don't give points back, so I'll definitely take the 2 points. Love Seattle to win this one, and we're going to lock it in at Seattle +2.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
All right, that takes us into Sunday night, which will feature the Baltimore Ravens at the New England Patriots. Ravens laying 7, and your over-under at 43.5.
Oh, yeah, the dynasty's dead. Keep burying them. Keep throwing dirt on them. Just keep reminding them what it was like to be pretty much every opponent of theirs for the last 20 years. And I love it. The Ravens scrubbed them last year when they were much, much better. I think Ravens are getting it back together here after going against a solid Colts defense last week. The Patriots are not the Patriots you remember them to be. They are a shell of their former selves. We are only laying a touchdown to a team that literally should have lost to the New York Jets. That's right. The Jets. This is easy for me. I'll lay the tutty with the Ravens and smile to the bank.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you said there. Patriots needed a Houdini act to get by the Jets. I mean, enough said. Ravens -7. It's another lock for us.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
All right, that brings us to our final game of the Week 10's action, which will be your Monday Night Football matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. Vikings laying 2.5, over-under at 44.5.
All right, so this is not – I want to caution everybody and say this is not an overreaction to last week. But this is one of those things where it's definitely what my eyes are telling me and who is playing better. And right now, what my eyes are telling me and who is playing better is that the Vikings are playing better. I just finally think that all the luck, and there was a lot of luck that happened with the Bears earlier on this season, is finally failing them. They're finally experiencing that negative regression back to the mean. They're not a good team. They're an 8-8 team at best, maybe 7-9. And I see the Vikes, as I said earlier this season, as one of those teams that could potentially make a playoff run. One of those teams that start out, slow and make a run to the playoffs. So, yeah, if you're going to do that, you have to win games. And I think they win this one. So let me lay the 2.5 with the Vikings.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook has found his mojo the last couple weeks here. I expect that to continue. And I also love the Vikings to cover the -2.5 against the Bears. And that gives us one more lock for the week.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
All right, well, that does it for our Week 10 matchups. So, Boof, Nate, do your thing.
Okay, we have the Bucks as a conditional -3. The Broncos and Raiders to go over 52. Chargers and Dolphins to go over 48. Saints -9. Seahawks +2. Ravens -7. And the Vikings -2.5. And I know Nate has a parlay that he wants to share, but before that, I have a little teaser that I actually already have this in play. I have a 6-point teaser with the Ravens, Bills, Seahawks, and Chargers. And that'll get you the Ravens at -1, Seahawks at +8, the Bills at +8, and the Chargers at +8.5. Big fan of that one. That'll get you a nice payout. It's +240. And I think it's fairly on the safe side. I feel very strong about all those. And I know, Nate, you have a good one for us, so why don't you go ahead with that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. No doubt. Definitely teasing through the right numbers on that. I like it. As for mine, yes, we have a 9-team parlay this week. We're looking at +2537. So nice little payout there. We're going to be starting off the Thursday night game. We're going to buy some points up to 56.5 and take the under. We're going to go Giants +8.5. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers money line. Buy some points with the Bills up to 8.5. We're going to buy a few points down in the Broncos-Raiders game down to 48.5 and take the over. We're going to buy some points down in the Chargers and Dolphins game down to 42.5 and take the over. We're going to go Seattle +8.5, buying a few points there. And then we got New Orleans and Baltimore Ravens, both halftime, full-time. And for those who don't know what that is, it's just they must be winning at the half and at the end of regulation. So that is a 9-team parlay at +2537 on the odds. $100 will win you $2,537.
Wow, that sounds great, man. I have a good feeling about that one this week. Thank you for sharing. Everybody, make sure you check in to Facebook and Twitter on Sunday at Big Boof Bets. We'll be getting our player props up for you, and like we said earlier in today's episode, we're off to a hot start sharing those. Make sure we gamble responsibly. Always, guys. Always gamble responsibly. And as always, best of luck to everybody, and let's get that money.
Oh, yeah. Get that money.